Miss Transport 96 here with another video review. This time we have the Star Wars from the Elite Series Disney Store exclusive, the First Order Flametrooper. So yeah. So overall, this is my first review of an Elite Series figure. I was very much anticipating the Elite Series. When I saw they released the figures, you know, like a day before Force Friday, they released the pictures for the figures. And when I saw them, I was really quite impressed. They looked good, looked like they had, you know, a fair amount of joints, and was very excited to see what a die-cast but fully articulated figure would look like. So very happy to have him. I did buy 3 from this first assortment of them. I bought Captain Phasma, the Flametrooper obviously, and Kylo Ren. So yeah, wanted to get Rey, but by the time that I decided that I wanted her with the BB-8, I couldn't get her. She was sold out online, couldn't find her in stores. So hopefully I'll get her when they start restocking. Overall, this box style was quite nice. You know, you've got a little bit of clear on each side as well as the top there. Full clear window at the front. I love that the outlined red is done in a very shiny metallic. Makes it look a little bit nicer. It does, we do get a nice little die cast printing there on the box to let you know it's die cast, as well as a Disney Store logo up top. On the back, just a little bit of bio on this toy line in general, as well as a bio of the Stormtroopers. So yeah, no pictures of the characters whatsoever. There's not a single, like there's not a generic character that they use for every box. No pictures of the characters. You've got the price tag there. These retail for $25 in the United States. So yeah, so let's get to it. Oops. Don't worry, they can stand up fine. I accidentally knocked it over. So overall, really neat figure. I mean, my biggest concern was that we get these and either there wouldn't be any articulation or their usage of the word die-cast was very light, basically. Just, you know, a couple armors, maybe the head would be die-cast, not much. Luckily, we got a solid die-cast figure. This is a solid figure that is die-cast. Obviously, there are plastic bits, but they're being very few. I have to say, the gun is definitely plastic. Obviously, the hoses are plastic. Maybe the tank is plastic. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell. The legs for sure are die-cast. The chest and stomach area is die-cast. Let's see. The head probably is plastic. It's a little hard to tell. The arms are probably die-cast. You know, one way to base it is kind of after you have it, you know, in a room temperature area, just feel which parts are cold, and that's how you can kind of base what parts are plastic or not. So we are getting a lot of die-cast here, and you can definitely feel it. One of the things that sold me on this is before I had them, I went to the store and they had fins there, and I picked up a fin and it was a solid die-cast figure, which I was really excited about. It was very heavy, you know. You could definitely tell that it was die-cast, and that's why I went and ordered Kylo Ren. So I'm very happy with the amount of die-cast in this figure. Obviously, weight is incredibly hard to, and it's just about impossible to show over camera, obviously. So I really can't do anything for you, but this definitely feels like a die-cast figure. So if you're worried that you're not going to get much die-cast for this die-cast line, don't worry, because it's full die-cast, and it's not just the Flametrooper. The others that I have are very hefty and heavy as well, so no issues there. We're getting a lot of die-cast, which is really cool. So it's die-cast, that's great. So how much of a good figure is it? You know, I wouldn't say that this is just to buy if you want a die-cast. It's actually a good figure as well. I knew the articulation was going to be a lot less than the Black Series. I didn't know how much less though, and luckily it's not that much less. You still have a decent amount of range for movement. Overall, we have a ball jointed head, which I was surprised about. I expected just a swivel, and or if there was a ball joint, to have it very limited. However, the ball joint works pretty nicely. You can look up quite far. You can look down, you know, a fair amount, mainly just straight, but he can look up quite far, and then side to side, and obviously you can have his head tilted and whatnot. So overall, fantastic articulation in the head there. Really no complaints. We've got a ball hinge shoulder, which is very nice as well. On this side, it's a little hindered just purely because of the hose. Now, this hose isn't rubber. It's a soft plastic, but it's still hard. You know, it's not just like a complete rubber. So you will get some resistance when you do try to pose his arm up or something. That's about as high as you're going to get on that elbow joint. So a little bit of resistance or a little bit of a hindrance on the shoulder articulation because of that hose. But on this shoulder, of course, it can move up quite far as well as 360 all around, which is great. Unfortunately, their biggest flaw is that there's only a hinge at the elbow. Just a single hinge on all of the figures. Unfortunately, you know, you really do need some sort of swivel at the elbow or the bicep to allow you to have figures that can hold guns in two hands. Luckily, what I thought that what they did, which at first when I heard it, I didn't really like it, but starting to think about it, it was a great idea of them. They sculpted this arm so that it was inwards. So although there is no swivel on this arm, it does hinge, but it's hinge pointed inward. So they basically made it so that you can have him hold the gun with both arms, which is a great idea. I mean, obviously I'd rather just have a swivel, so then there was no issues at all. But without the swivel, they did the best that, you know, I could have wanted, actually giving him a way to hold the gun there. He's got swivel wrists. This hand is connected to the gun. The gun isn't a separate piece that you put into the finger or put into the hand. But I think it's quite nice. At first, you know, I didn't like that very much, but actually seeing the gun, it's more of like a gas tank, a gas nozzle that you know, use to fill up your car. It's kind of like plugged into an extended gun type of look. So because of that strange look, I actually, you know, don't mind the fact that it is pre-sculpted into the hand. You know, if it was just like a normal handle, I would have probably preferred it just to be able to be removed. But, you know, it's fine, and you're really not going to display this guy without his gun, basically. So overall, really like it, and do like the detail in the gun too. I'll go over the detail a bit more though after I do the articulation. He's got a swivel waist, which is nice. A little hindered, you know. You don't want to force it. You could probably force it to go a little bit more, but it starts to stop about there, so I wouldn't recommend it. So you don't get like a full 360, but you do get, you know, something, which is quite nice. And I actually expected them not to have any joint in there, so that is quite good. He's got a ball hinge thigh, so that's really nice. You know, in and out, of course, it can split out very far, and it can go up quite far, and it's pretty tight too. And then he's got a hinge at the knee. Hinge doesn't go very far, but it really doesn't matter. You're not going to have these guys doing anything super dynamic. You have just enough articulation to pose them in cool stances and cool poses without doing anything crazy with them. And then he has hinge swivel at the ankle. The swivel is hindered based on this collar pieces or little armor bits that go down further than the ankle there, and then it can go up and down slightly. So overall, articulation is really good. You know, I mean, it's not Black Series, of course, but it's really nice. It's obviously far superior than the 3 3/4 inch line, and you can do some good poses with him, which is fantastic. Sculpting wise, not a whole lot to talk about, just because this is an armor. You know, they sculpted all the smooth parts and the lines, and it's quite good. On the gun here, there's some good detailing, like I mentioned, as you can see. Let's get some extra light. There we go. As you can see, they did it quite nicely. Very good. And then the gloves there, they painted them really well too, which is fantastic. You know, the Black Series has a bit of some mess ups on the hand there, but on the Elite Series, it looks pretty nice. You've got, you know, one little piece of dot, white dot that is in the black section of the pinky there, but other than that, it seems to be painted very evenly and very nice. So, you know, this is a great figure, I would have to say. One thing that I think it needs, and, you know, I don't expect it from this line, because it's you know, a lot of extra plastic that would have to go into this figure, but I would have loved some fire accessory to be shooting out of his gun, or just some fire piece to, you know, either like a base maybe with fire. That would be super cool. I don't really expect it from this line though, because you know, it's not needed. It's not like a small figure that needs something else, but would have liked a fire accessory piece. One thing that works out great is the fire piece from the Hot Toys Iron Man Mark 1 2.0. He came with this, fire bit. You know, I'll talk about him standing in a bit here. Just let's get him posed there. There we go. So it comes with so this is great. This is a great fire piece to use on him, and it doesn't stay on to the gun, but it's got a little loop there that you can put over the nozzle there, and then just have a little like piece of paper or something propping it up, and it looks wonderful. Let me quick give you a good shot of a nice fire scene with that with the fire everywhere. Alright, so you can add some fire accessories from other figures to this guy, and really take some awesome pictures. As you can see here, I'm using the main flame that's coming out of the gun. I'm using from a Hot Toys Mark 1 2.0 figure. Really cool. You know, it was an accessory that looked awesome. It didn't really fit on the Mark I's hand very well, but right here with the Flametrooper, it looks great. It seems to be just about the perfect size. You know, just from the angle that I have it here, it is like appearing to be shooting off a little bit lower than the actual nozzle, but you can adjust it to get it to look pretty perfect. It doesn't stay up this perfectly. I do have a piece of paper holding it up, which I'll show you in a second here. But as you can see, that looks wonderful. And then if you also have the flame accessories that go with the Marvel Legends from the Ultimate Green Goblin series, the Green Goblin Bath Build-A-Figure, who came with a back flame accessory as well as 2 flame accessories for the arms. I've got them just propped up here, so it looks like he's really just completely, you know, setting this place on fire. Looks like he just, you know, flamed near the camera, and now he's moving the gun a little bit to get more of the room on fire. Overall, looks awesome. You can make some awesome pictures and just really cool setups with these flames. And yeah, I'm sure there's other figures that have, you know, larger flame effects that will probably look pretty fantastic. But just to see, you know, this is set up super simply. As you can see, it's just these flame accessories on the box right there with little pieces of paper propping them up, and then a little piece of paper propping up the main flame there. But when you zoom in on it, it creates quite an awesome image. There we go. I want to focus on the background there. There we go. Like, look at that. Super cool. And it's just a little trick of the camera there, but overall, really love these flame accessories. They make this figure, I have to say, without any sort of flame accessories. He's still a nice figure, but this just adds to him, and it really shows you what this character is all about. When you first look at him, you might not know that his gun shoots flames, but seeing, you know, the flames actually with the gun are fantastic. I really wish that they added some flames with this Elite Series figure, although I didn't really expect it. But I do hope that when and if they do one for the Black Series, that the Black Series one will provide some flame effects, as well as Hot Toys. You know, when they do their Flametrooper, I pray to God that they do some of these flame accessories too, because it just makes the Flametrooper look super cool. Alright, so now let's go over some quality control issues, because there are a few on this guy. On all of them, they have some slight, you know, hindrance as far as standing up. Unfortunately, because there's so much more die-cast up top, because obviously you've got the body, the arms, and any accessories or anything like that. So there's a much more metal up top, which makes him a little bit wobbly as far as, you know, he can tip over easily if you don't have him in a good position. Like you did see, you know, a little bit ago, he did fall over. It's if you get him in a position, and you can feel, you know, when he's in a sturdy position, you know he's good. You don't have to worry about anything. If you get him in a pose where you get him to stand, you're like, that's perfect, but you know, I wouldn't trust him to stand up. You can tell basically. So if it feels like he's not completely sturdy, you probably should just put him on a base. A base isn't 100% necessary though, because you can get him to stand in a position where you're comfortable. You don't you know that he's not going to fall basically. And one thing that's kind of, you know, makes him fall is the fact that his joints are the thigh joints aren't ratchet joints, but they do have a bit of, how do I put this? There's you know, it kind of works like a ratchet basically. My phone keeps going off, and it must be on a desk or somewhere because it's making a loud sound, so very sorry about that. But as you can see, without moving his legs or anything, he does wobble there. So there is a little bit of room on the joint. You know, they're obviously connected to a pin, so that pin isn't completely locked into the body area, which is why he can wobble a bit. So that's why if he's in a little bit of pose and he just tips back just a bit like that, then he can fall over. So that's basically the reason for him falling over a bit. However, they do give you a base. They understand that can be an issue, so they did rectify it before they were forced to, basically. So I'm getting a ton of text, sorry about that. Overall, the base is quite nice. It's pretty plain. It just said Star Wars, you know, it's just black. It's good enough, you know, it's definitely nice. Would have liked something a little bit more elegant, or something that says die-cast, that's chrome or something, just because so you know that this is a metal figure for people who don't know that are looking at it, you know. That would be cool. There's just one peg, and he just has one hole on the bottom of his right foot. The other quality control issue is the fact that his gun is plastic, and therefore in package it did warp. I've seen others on eBay that have warp guns like this, so it's just, you know, something to be expected. I'm sure you can do like a hot water and then freeze it kind of trick. The only problem is it's connected to this hand, so you'll have to take the entire figure to go do that. So definitely an annoyance. It would have been awesome if the gun was die-cast purely so that that wasn't an issue, but it's not something that's more of an issue than, you know, any Hasbro product is. I'm sure that when the Black Series does a Flametrooper, their guns will be like this too because they're so long. So overall, it is definitely a shame that it is bent, but nothing too terrible. So let's get you some size comparisons here. So the Elite Series is a bit bigger in size compared to the Black Series. However, let's compare them a bit. As you can see, we've got the the Elite Series, Black Series Stormtroopers here. I think the Stormtroopers look really good with the Fire Trooper, or Flametrooper. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like the Flametroopers should be bigger than Stormtroopers. Not like by a ton, but about like this. You know, they should be bulkier, you know, characters, obviously with the big tanks on, bulkier armor. You know, I consider them to be bulkier characters. So I think that personally it fits in really nice with the Stormtroopers from the Black Series. However, if you do compare him to other Elite Series figures, Captain Plasma or Phasma and Kylo Ren, he's very short, and I don't know why. This doesn't look accurate to me. Maybe just in the movie the Flametroopers are short for some reason. I don't know, because especially since I have this thing in my head where the Flametroopers should be bigger than the average Stormtrooper. So it does make it quite odd to see that they're so much shorter than Captain Phasma and Kylo Ren. So either the Elite Series got it wrong and made this guy too short, or just in the movie the Flametrooper is a bit shorter than your average character. Obviously Captain Phasma is a pretty tall character. The actress that plays her is 6'3", so she should obviously be taller than the Flametrooper, but I would expect the Flametrooper to be slightly taller than this, because this does look to be out of scale just by me, without like seeing him in the trailers or in the movie personally. It just seems like he's a bit too short, but that certainly could just be my perception, and when the movie comes out, obviously I'll be proven wrong. I'm not sure. Overall though, a fantastic figure, would highly recommend it. If you want to hold out for the Black Series one, that's great, although the Black Series one won't be until at least Wave 5, because we have Waves 1 through 4 that have been announced, and he's not in any of those, so they could possibly not do the Flametrooper. I would doubt it. I would completely assume that the Black Series will do a Flametrooper, but if they do, it probably won't be until like 2016, unfortunately. But so if you want one just early, I'd recommend getting this one, because like I said, I think personally it fits in scale with the Black Series, at least by my image of a Flametrooper, so I'm pretty happy with displaying them with the Black Series. I think that he'd look fine. So if you did just want this figure for the Flametrooper to go with your Black Series, that's great. If not, he's a great standalone figure with the die-cast, makes him very special and unique, and would highly recommend it. So there you go. That's my review of the Star Wars Elite Series First Order Flametrooper. Thanks so much for watching.